When the French National Railway (SNCF) introduced the Train Grande Vitesse or TGV in 1981, SNCF showed to the world that traveling by train wasn't dead yet and could compete easily with air travel. After the unquestionable success of the TGV, many European countries quickly followed this trend and developed their own high-speed system. Germany in 1991, Italy and Spain in 1992, and quickly we saw a network of high-speed lines across Europe, linking Europe's major cities from their city core at 300 km per hour. Hello everybody and welcome to this new video where I will present to you the top 5 of the high-speed train in Europe. Again, it will be based solely on my opinion and my personal experience on board these trains. If you think differently, feel free to drop a comment below. Before diving into the subject, I will only select train above or equal to 250 km per hour, or roughly 155 miles per hour. Trains that can reach speed are considered high speed. It's not me. The mighty UIC or Union Internationale des Chemins de Fer, International Union of Railway, decided this. Yeah, I'm sorry, the X2000, I really liked you, but you can't fit into this list, unfortunately. As I said in the intro, it's the OG of the high-speed train family in Europe. With a top speed of 300 km per hour, it's the fastest train in commercial service in Europe with the ICE. With the TGV you can go to any city in France, and the TGV can also cross several borders with service to Germany, Italy, Spain, Luxembourg and even Belgium. There are several types of TGV and each one is different and has its own particularities. You will find single level TGV like TGV Réseau, TGV Atlantique or TGV POS. They all share the same interior designed by the French designer Christian Lacroix. Both classes are very colorful, but I would suggest to try the first class. The seat is amongst the comfiest I've tried on a train. Then you will find the double-decker fleet, the TGV Duplex. Here you will find several interiors for this train, the oldest being Talon. These interiors are supposed to be refurbished to a much modern interior called Océane. In between you will find some TGV Duplex with a Daisy interior. It's basically the same as Talon with a refreshed color basically. You can also find the low-cost version of the TGV Duplex with the low-cost carrier Ouigo. And if you're on a budget and want to experience high speed, it's a great bargain, but please avoid the middle seat.
What the fuck is that?
In the TGV Duplex, I'm a massive fan of the first class on the new Océane train set. It's like a private capsule. It's the best if you need to work and relax. As for the second class, I will choose the Daisy version. It's comfortable and bright, I like it. The only downside of the TGV in general is its old design. The genesis of the TGV was designed back in the 70s and 80s, and the TGV was designed for business traveler and not leisure traveler. As soon as people have luggage, boarding the TGV can be a true nightmare, especially with only one boarding door per coach. Once you're inside the train, you'll feel a bit cramped, but the TGV will get the job done at the end of the day. You can book your journey easily on SNCF Connect on Trainline. The only good thing about SNCF Connect is you can know in advance which type of TGV you will board. That's a pretty neat feature. As for the journey, Paris to Marseille is the way to go if you want a true experience of French high-speed rail. From Paris to Marseille in 3 hours at 300 km per hour, all the way with a top speed of 320 km in Provence. I love this journey because you get to see the landscape transition from the capital to the Mediterranean Sea with a dozen of different landscapes. It's truly beautiful. Special mention to TGV Lyria. It's a TGV service from Paris to Switzerland. In cooperation with SBB, they have some dedicated rolling stock that is slightly different from the current duplex fleet. The next on the list is probably the most unique high-speed train in Europe. It's the Eurostar. Inaugurated in 1994, it links London to Paris, Brussels and even Amsterdam, and many cities in between. This train had the particularity to be the only high-speed train allowed in the famous Channel Tunnel, the tunnel linking Great Britain and continental Europe. Can you imagine boarding in the heart of Paris or Brussels and arriving just 2 hours later in the heart of London? That's the magic of Eurostar. They even have seasonal service to the French Alps. You must book through a tour operator if you want to ride this exceptional ride. You will find two Eurostar types. The original E300 or TMST, Transmanche Supertrain, was built by Alstom for the original Eurostar service in the 90s. Eurostar still operates few units of this type. It has a particularity to be at the British loading gauge, and before 2007 Eurostar operated on the classic line between the tunnel and London. Nowadays the whole Eurostar system runs on high-speed line. The new Eurostar, or known as the E320, is a new generation of Eurostar. It entered service back in 2016 and was built by Siemens. This train is very different from its older brother, the TMST. These trains are from the Velaro family and are, in my opinion, more enjoyable for the passenger. This newer train can carry an impressive number of 894 passengers instead of 750 for the TMST. This newer train can also go further. The E320 can go to Amsterdam, whereas the E300 can't. From my experience, I prefer the E300 in first class. They call it Standard Premier or Business Premier, and the E320 in second class, Standard Class. Speaking of class, you can find three different classes on board Eurostar. The cheapest will be the Standard Class, which is basically a second class. Then you can find two other first class equivalent, the Standard Premier and the Business Premier. In both classes you will find the same type of seat. The difference depends on the services. In Business Premier, you will have access to the lounge and have a chef-prepared meal with champagne. Whereas in Standard Premier, you will enjoy only a good meal. I love traveling with Eurostar. It's always a true pleasure. And it would have been in the top 3 of the best high-speed train if it wasn't for their prices. Eurostar prices are high, even too high in my opinion. Since the beginning, Eurostar has been the sole high-speed rail operator on the Channel Tunnel and fix their price themselves. No wonder why people still fly to London. Yet, if you have the money, it's a fantastic way to travel. The third on the list is the German ICE, the Intercity Express. As mentioned in the introduction, Germany took its time to develop its own high-speed train system, and the first high-speed line was not opened until 1991 between Hanover and Wolfsburg. Unlike the French TGV, where train runs primarily on the high-speed line, the Germans have opted for a more soft version of the high-speed train, upgrading existing line and building a short section of high-speed line. Most ICE trains will have a top speed of 280 km per hour and regularly get out of the high-speed line to stop in city center. That's why you can go to many different cities in Germany with the ICE. But the ICE system has its advantages. You can use the ICE from many stations in Germany, and it's easy to connect with any regional service. Crossing the country will be slower than its French counterpart. But what do I love so much the ICE? Well, from a passenger perspective, it's very comfortable and enjoyable. The trains are spacious and you don't feel packed like in the TGV I mentioned before. You don't have to queue for several minutes before boarding the train, and you don't need to struggle to find a spot for your luggage. It's enjoyable and modern. Under the brand ICE, you can find a lot of different trains. The first version introduced in the early 90s, the ICE1 and ICE2, are pretty much similar, and both trains are comfortable and enjoyable. Later on, the German manufacturer Siemens developed a newer version of the ICE, but rather than having a traditional engine hauling the train, Siemens developed the ICE3, the first high-speed train able to reach 320 km per hour with distributed traction. No more engine. Passenger can board from any part of the train. Siemens declined this ICE version in many different configurations. The ICE3D, the ICE3M, the ICE3 Neo, and so on. A new version of the ICE, the ICE4, was eventually released in the late 2010 by Siemens. But if you want to know more about the ICE, I recommend the excellent video by my friend of the YouTube channel, Railway Explained. They've created a lovely video about all the different types of ICEs, and also for TGVs. The main reason I'm a big fan of the ICE in general is that they have a proper dining car rather than a bar or a bistro like in most high-speed trains in Europe. On the ICE, feel free to sit at the table, order your food, and enjoy a proper meal at high speed. It's something that only the ICE can deliver. And if you are sitting in first class, feel free to order a meal that will be directly delivered to your seat. by the dining car attendant. A currywurst with a beer at 300 km/h. Yes, it's pretty awesome. ICE's trip can be booked on any European website, but DB's website is your best bet. Also, the ICE is the rare high-speed train to be taken without seat reservation, but that's something I don't advise since ICEs are pretty busy and it's possible that you won't find a seat. Number 2 on this list is Iryo in Spain. Iryo is a fairly new operator in Europe. They launched their service between Barcelona and Madrid in late 2022. And Iryo is owned by Trenitalia and Air Nostrum, and is the third and the last operator to operate high-speed service in Spain after Renfe, the historical operator, with their premium AVE brand and the low-cost brand Avlo, and SNCF with their semi-low-cost, funky brand Wigo. Unlike their competitor, Iryo is aiming for a premium service in Spain, and for that purpose, they chose the best high-speed train in Europe, the Zefiro V300, or you can call it Frecciarossa 1000. It's one of the most modern trains you can find on the market. It was built and designed by Bombardier, now Alstom, and Ansaldo Breda, now Hitachi. I know, it's pretty confusing, right? Now Iryo operates in many cities in Spain, such as Madrid, Barcelona, Alicante, Sevilla, and many more. And since Spain has a unique gauge for a classic network, you are sure to be on a high-speed line at any given moment. Even though these trains are technically designed for 400 km/h, yeah, you won't be as fast as Bombardier advertised this train back in the days. Yet, 300 km/h is a good speed, especially considering how smooth the trains are. From a passenger perspective, this train is slightly better than the German ICE. It's spacious and modern. I even prefer the Zefiro because I found them quieter than the German one, and these trains are comfier in both classes. When booking, you have a vast choice of booking with Iryo, but simply it comes in two words: flexibility and services. Iryo understands that flexibility is one of the keys to a good train system. You're busy with a meeting? Take the next train. Flexibility is one of the keys to dragging people from air travel back to the rail. Here's a chart of all the different booking options with Iryo. It looks complicated, but it's not really in real life. Both classes are very nice and among the best in Europe. In the premium class, called Infinita class, you will have a nice at-seat service with food and drinks. It's not freshly cooked, it looks and tastes nice. Special mention to their top-notch staff on board the train. In my opinion, Iryo has everything you need for an enjoyable high-speed journey, except maybe one thing. Please welcome the Frecciarossa service. It's very similar to what we saw in Spain with Iryo. Frecciarossa is the high-speed brand of the state operator of Italy, Trenitalia. Even though they started operation a long time ago, Trenitalia and Frecciarossa became very interesting when they introduced to the world the Frecciarossa 1000, the Zefiro, back in 2015. And oh my, what a banger! Like with Iryo, those trains are simply amazing from a passenger perspective. Modern and spacious, but there was one thing that puts the Frecciarossa 1000 at the top of the best high-speed train in Europe: the executive class. Trust me folks, you won't find anything comparable in Europe. Yes, Leo Express, I know you back there, I know. Just in the front of the train, 8 massive seats that can be turned around to your convenience and adjustable to an extent. It's truly amazing. On top of that, you can enjoy some delicious food freshly prepared with a real plate and cutlery prepared by the executive attendant. If you're traveling with some business partner, you can always have a meeting in the specially designed conference room. But this train isn't also made for fancy traveler or rave fan YouTubers. In Frecciarossa, you will find 4 different classes. Of course, the executive, then business class, basically a first class with at-seat service. A premium class, which is basically a second class with some kind of service. And then a standard class, a true second class with no service. And from experience, all levels of service are more than decent on board the Frecciarossa. This is why it deserves the title of best high-speed train in Europe. You can enjoy the Frecciarossa 1000 on most main lines in Italy. This train runs like the French TGV, sometimes on the high-speed line at the top speed of 300 km/h, but leaves the high-speed line as soon as they approach the city. I can give you a good example of the route to try. I would go for Milan to Rome and ride on the classic Direttissima line. When Trenitalia ordered the Frecciarossa 1000, they wanted a train that could run in neighboring country. And that's what they did recently. Trenitalia launched domestic service in France in frontal competition with SNCF between Paris and Lyon, and they also operate several services between Paris and Milan. Folks, riding the executive class in the Alps was an outstanding experience. Feel free to book fresh hours on many websites, but the best remains Trenitalia.com. With all of that combined, this is why the fresh hours deserve the title of best high-speed train in Europe. Of course, I couldn't fit all high-speed train service in this video, but I would love to mention the SBB Girona. That could have made it to this list, but I haven't reviewed yet, from what I see online. This train looks absolutely fantastic. And I haven't really mentioned Ouigo France and Avlo Spain, but these two train services are an excellent way to try high-speed train at low price. Low-cost high-speed trains are the best way to attract customers from air travel. Special mention to Italo also. It's the only private high-speed train operator in Europe with service in Italy. Unfortunately, I didn't ride this train enough to give you a proper review, folks. As always, you can find all these high-speed trains in a trip report format. You can find it right up there. Alright folks, I hope you liked this video. Let me know in the comment section what's your opinion and the best high-speed train you've ridden in your life. This video is very personal, so I'm really curious to see your opinion on the subject. Until then, don't forget to subscribe and see you next time.